that's one thing I found. Most of the citizenship cases we handle are cases where people have had their green card for over 10, 15 years. And they're like, every year I'm telling myself I'm going to file citizenship this year, and we never get around to it. So they just, we have to give it to an attorney due, because if it's up to me, it's never going to get done. And this is pretty typical of a lot of green card holders.
Please file. Please file as soon as you qualify. Please file. You never know what's going to happen. We just had this case. So lady was, she had her green card for like 10 or 15 years, right? And she just got arrested last year for, I would not say, I don't remember what, just some minor thing, like no charges were filed, nothing, you know? So, but on her paperwork, right, the police officer marked that she's a citizen, and she signed on it. And like, she didn't see it, like nobody read this kind of stuff, and now it's a huge problem. And for example, if she filed for citizenship like 10 years ago, when she was eligible already, she would not have this issue. And now probably she will not be able to naturalize, because it can be considered a false claim to U.S. citizenship. And this is a huge thing.
Discretionary, but they have to explain, listen, I wasn't reading it, I didn't make the claim, the officer wrote it there, try to fix it up in the record. We had one case where the officer did something like that many years ago. It wasn't even on the paperwork there, but we did an FBI background check as a backup, and in the FBI background check listed citizen. So we realized in the internal systems a police officer put that. We contacted the FBI and said, listen, fix this up. We never said that, and they corrected it. But if we hadn't done that, and USCIS did its own background checks and that came back, we don't know what would have popped up at the interview. And false claim to citizenship, for those who don't know, is a kiss of death for immigration. It's just as bad as murdering somebody. There's no defense. There's very few defenses of any, and it's a one-way ticket to getting kicked out of the country. And that's why people accidentally, like in California right now, they changed the rules where they automatically register you to vote unless you ask not to when you're getting your driver's license. And this is such a problem. A lot of states are doing this. It puts immigrants in such a bad position because they might mistakenly get registered, and later on USCIS comes and says, oh, you registered to vote. It's a problem. Now, the Biden administration did update the USCIS policy manual on registration and stuff like that for mistaken registration about 2 or 3 months ago. But it's all discretion. Someone may hold it against you. I had a case where a guy accidentally registered, but he had written we had two problems. One is he was at university, he was walking down, and someone said, hey, do you want to sign this thing about, saving the whales or something like that? And he signed it, and in it, because it asked you for your vote, the guy had wrote he's a citizen, and his signature, he had signed it. But it was really obvious the pen that wrote the information was the other person's, because the pen was a different color than from what he signed. So he said, listen, I just signed it. The guy filled it in later. The officer believed that. And then he had registered to vote by accident when he got his driver's license, and he had marked citizen, and we went and undid it. There's a way to deregister. He had filed on his own. It was denied, and we refiled it and said, listen, all these other people did it. We didn't do it. Look at the pen signature being different. Look at this. Why would this guy lie about this? And the officer, this guy was a PhD, a student. He's like, you're a PhD. How do you make this mistake? I'm like, listen, officer, it doesn't matter if you're PhD or not. These kind of things happen. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And he approved the case. But it could easily go the other direction if the officer doesn't want to go your way. They have discretion on this kind of stuff.
Right. So the rule of thumb, if you're eligible to file for naturalization, it can be 3 years if based on the marriage to a citizen, or it can be 5 years, or 1 year if you're military service, right? Yeah. So just file ASAP.
Get it. Yeah. I was having a consultation yesterday for a couple that are doing removal of conditions. And I said, well, a year later, you could file for citizenship. And, he was the foreign national. Like, oh, I'm not sure yet, this and that. And the wife was a U.S. citizen, laughed because she said, my dad for 35 years kept saying, I don't know, we'll think about it. And then she said, Dad, you've been here for 35 years. You're essentially a citizen. Just get the paperwork out of the way, because you never know what's going to happen. There's maybe a travel ban. There might be lost paperwork here and there. It's just there's no point, if you're going to be living in the U.S. and paying the taxes anyways, to not file for citizenship. There's a rare case. Well, it's not that rare, but a lot of countries don't allow dual citizenship. The U.S. does, but if you're Indian, Japanese, German, these countries will cause you to lose the passport of the home country for the most part. And so in the case where yesterday, the guy was Indian, and he said it's a little bit of hassle if I want to go back and live there and stuff. But, India has a special thing where he get like a existing resident permission to come back. Germany has some small nuances where you could keep it, but Japanese clients are a little more strict. You lose Japanese citizenship, it makes hard for them.